2025 was one of the craziest years for the UX design field and the design field in general. People were scared for their jobs. There was an AI evolution. Design in general got a lot more importance thanks to a lot of companies coming forth with better design products. I have receipts of actual designers, top level designers from some pretty cool companies talking about how the area is shifting, how their own workflows have shifted, how companies are doing things differently, how recruiters are hiring differently. The first one is how a lot of companies that are focused on code and coding projects, powered by AI, of course, things like Cursor, Lovable, are now shifting into Figma's domain, which is the UI design space, the brainstorming space, a free canvas-based coding editor. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. Figma has a free canvas as well. Recently, Cursor introduced their visual editor, which basically allows you to edit your designs, select individual elements on your website or your app, change it based on either a prompt or a very familiar looking design panel or properties panel on the right. In fact, the developers and designers at Cursor, the people who work on this product, have shared how they actually now don't make UI designs. They don't basically make mockups or UIs and wireframes. They jump from an idea and research and maybe a basic paper wireframe to an actual workable prototype that they can work with and maybe bring an MVP to life. That is exactly what Lovable is trying to do. But the AI-based UI design tools like Google Stitch are also coming into the Figma domain, with them saying, hey, our AI tool is super powerful, can generate these UI designs, but now you can freely edit them without having to export into Figma. This is a massive threat because all these tools are able to do what designers want to do quickly, but now also have Figma's capabilities, which we were missing out on. I mean, let me know in the comments, does this make Figma less appealing to you? Does this make you feel like you can just skip UI design and go right into prototyping or maybe making an MVP with your team? Not only that, we also have a lot more freedom with AI tools now. Tools are shifting from one AI model into this multi-AI model framework. That means if you are trying to create content, let's just say you want a title on your website, and you like Claude as your AI agent, you can utilize Claude if it's, say, a third-party tool. It'll allow you to use Claude to generate content, titles, copy. The same thing if you like Gemini 3 for web design, UI design, which is well known for, you can switch to that AI model in your favorite AI tool like Cursor, and that just makes life much easier. As a designer, now we have a choice of which AI model to use. In fact, I'll put some comments on screen on reels and shorts that I've posted around this similar trend throughout the year, and how people are actually sharing their real life workflows, their professional workflows on how they're utilizing AI. There have been top level companies shifting to an AI first model where they want the designer to quickly generate something out of certain ideas and research and then continue working on it alongside the developers. This is where the lines between creativity, development, and product are now starting to slowly blur. I started off as a web designer, web builder, and now had to shift into UX from a career perspective, but all of a sudden, I'm having to shift back. Remember the times when we all had to code out websites? We were just not creating mockups. We had to do research, we had to test, we had to conceptualize for the business and then send it off to the developer. So it just became easier for businesses to do that. Now, for the second point itself, there's a question that kind of comes into my mind. Why were no-code tools like Webflow, Framer, Bubble, and all these tools that allowed designers to build apps or build websites not able to solve for this in so many years, in the past 7, 8, 10 years? And the answer is very simple. If you've ever used Framer or Webflow, you know that it's not as easy as just clicking a button and having your dream feature in front of you. If you think of a feature, you have to think twice of whether it can be implemented on Webflow or Framer or whatever no-code tool you use. Where learning a new tool not only takes time and effort, but it also takes a different kind of thinking. In Webflow, you had to think of a feature as code. Even though the title said no code, without proper code, Java knowledge of JavaScript, knowledge of Java, knowledge of PHP, knowledge of Python, neither could you connect it properly to say like an API, a third-party API. That required code or knowledge of code. Neither could you create a custom feature or a custom animation because that was limited to what the tool could provide visually. And anything above that visual interaction, you had to go to a developer or you had to outsource that job or you had to outsource that skill. Also, can I point out, if I had to create an Android app, I could not just do it. The Android app no-code builders sucked for so many years. Quick note, debugging these projects is not easy. If we were developers, we would have a much easier time debugging these AI-coded projects. Some fields now being able to catch up thanks to the technology that has developed over the past 1 or 2 years. Remember a time where VR and AR was just a gimmick? You see these now in malls and in arcades, and people are just putting them on just to have a little bit of fun for 15, 20 minutes. They get a headache, they don't want to play anymore, and they get out. Now, thanks to the advancement in technology with lighter frames, less obtrusive technology on your face, it doesn't look like an alien mask anymore, and it looks like these normal glasses I have on. Thanks to companies like Meta and a bunch of other companies that I'll put on screen, I'm forgetting their names, you will be able to access screens inside your lenses just like normal without other people being able to look at it. Have earpieces close to your ear so you can hear music, thoughts from AI or interactions with those audio cues as well. Be able to interact with more than just tapping your glasses and looking like a weirdo outside, by actually using those neural bands or neural rings where you basically are using gestures, or those bands are able to detect your hand movements, which I do a lot. Literally put a mini AI-enabled computer inside this thick of a glass or a spectacle. And this is one of the fastest growing in its field as well. There's research that has come out that is showing how much money people are actually spending on these, and in the future it is going to grow much more significantly as it is right now. That's a very positive news. And for a lot of you people who want to venture into it, I'll have a few links of some courses and guides that you can actually check out. And according to UX Design Institute, multimodal interfaces combine several inputs such as voice, text, images, gestures, and touch, allowing users to interact however feels most natural to them in that moment. Sentient interfaces go one step further, interpreting cues like facial expressions, tone of voice, or environment context to get a better sense of how the user is feeling or what they might need next. Do let me know in the comments what your ideas and thoughts on this. This could be a crazy long debate, and this could last 2026. And I'll see you every single week. And I'm going to be posting much more this year just because of all the support you've shown me in the past year. I want to focus on creating content for beautiful, amazing content for you guys because of all the support you've shown me in the past year. Happy New Year. Enjoy this year. Stay healthy, stay fit. Be civil to other human beings, animals, and everything in between. And I'll see you next time. Until next time, take care. God bless.